Warning, the following communications are not authorized. Please disable your signals and report to your local re-education center immediately. Failure to comply will result in immediate reprimand and capital punishment.
Now, that video in particular has been removed on YouTube for medical misinformation, and YouTube is working hard to get rid of the copies of it as well, because it's medical misinformation.
I'm with all the smoke. I'm with all the smoke. I'm with all the smoke. YouTube banned my song, but now they gotta cope. We're number one and they ain't gotta say I'm selling dope. We dropping hits and they ain't like them, we ain't going woke. They try to ride away, but we ain't in the same boat. I don't take planes, I'm just whipping everywhere I go. I don't comply with mandates, somebody let them know. Hey, I'm not retracting nothing, what did I say? Hey, I don't do the mandates, cause I'm not gay. Hey, I'm a gamer, don't confuse it, I do not play. I run the game, keep running like I'm trying to drop weight.
Welcome, everybody. Eric Butler, Tatum Report, Rob from Hewey Media, and of course, the Brysonist of Bryson's, Bryson Gray. How is everybody? Welcome,
Amazing.
everybody.
What's up?
Start with you, Bryson. You're fresh off of so much stuff happening to you. Number one on iTunes. I think it was most purchases on billboards in the week, I believe I read was the thing. First thing I wanted to ask you, how's it been? What's it been like? Has it been crazy or has it been the same?
Oh, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy because I didn't even want to make the song, and even after I made it, I didn't think it was gonna go viral because I didn't think it had the trend feel to it. Because I like rugged sounding music, like real sounding music. So I didn't think it was gonna go viral. So for it to go that far is crazy.
Has anyone from like mainstream news and mainstream music reached out to you at all about any of this?
No, a popular YouTuber did in the hip hop community. He hit me up because he said, I was doing research and this has never happened before. He gave me something. He said that the closest thing to it was something, but they did it off like mainly streams. He was like, for an independent artist to do this top 40 on Hot 100 off of pure sales, he was like, bro, this doesn't happen. So he was confused about why more people didn't report on it, but I don't think his video about it came out yet.
It's been really weird, and maybe you can touch.
That is?
What's his name? It was like Yassine or something like that.
Oh no, okay.
He got like 200 and something thousand subscribers.
I thought you were talking about academics.
Now I'm confused about why he didn't do it. This is crazy.
I don't understand how they can all just ignore it. Like it's like there's zero things on any of the channels. I keep saying like you can't turn on the radio on the way to work and hear it on Sirius or the radio or anything. But like you've got a black Christian artist and BET doesn't want to do anything. That's pretty stupid, I think.
Yeah. When was the last time a Christian rapper charted this high? Period. I mean,
like, or ever.
Yeah,
you might have to go back to Michelle from the Destiny's Child, I'd imagine, probably.
I don't know. Like this is crazy, man. I don't know. You know, they ain't gonna be able to ignore it for that much longer.
Rob, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, Bryson. So they just straight up took you off of like YouTube, right? And it didn't have any curse words in it or anything.
Yep, they took it off YouTube for medical misinformation. Then they banned it on TikTok. They banned it on TikTok like when it was like number one. So they banned it when it was like more videos started getting made for it. And then they banned the music video on Instagram too.
So okay, can I just say though, really? So the medical misinformation line, right? That's what we've been told. And it's simply because that one line where you say, it ain't real, they just plan it. I mean, I don't want to get us banned now, but is that really the line that did it, or that as far as you know?
So that's what most people think. YouTube has not told me the exact lyric that got it banned at all.
Because they just made it up. So we're never all right, fair enough. I'm just curious.
That's the thing. The rules don't have to apply anywhere. It's kind of weird that Twitter is like the most free of the big platforms where you can pretty much say anything as long as it's not on like the one topic they're picking on, whether it's like Hunter Biden or right now Kyle Rittenhouse. You can't say anything about him. They kind of just like have their pet projects where they focus their team on, say, ban people for saying this. But other than that, Twitter, you can pretty much get away with anything. I mean, they have porn on there, don't they?
Yeah, which, by the way, Andrew, you know that I don't use Twitter, but when I was working on a story about, remember when the OnlyFans thing happened, like OnlyFans was going to get rid of porn or whatever, I didn't realize, and I'm like, I guess I'm just naive or just an old person. Like, I didn't realize there's actual pornography on Twitter, and they're worried about, like, this is. I'm preaching to the
Was it
choir here. It's obviously it's
was it
insane.
Ted
It's all
Cruz
backwards.
who got caught liking something like years ago?
Well, I know Barack Obama did, I believe.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the Pope or something maybe.
Oh, yeah,
Surely
it
it's them.
The Pope. The Pope liked some like hot like young girl's picture on Instagram, like that was like really like promiscuous picture, and the Pope liked it.
It was probably just the person running the post page. 'Cause,
Exactly.
a lot of these people don't run their own page. They got some young intern doing it. But isn't it funny that we're saying Twitter is the most free platform and they're like terrible? That's how
Yeah.
you know we're in a messed up place, bro.
Well, that's why I had hoped for Getter for a bit, but now like what's going to happen? And God bless them because I've interviewed Jason Miller, Sonny Joy Nelson just on my show. But what's going to happen when Trump's thing comes on? We're starting to get a little bit diluted here. I'm done with Parler. It doesn't work on my phone. It just doesn't work. Like I can't upload anything.
Gab.
So
Yeah, Gab is my favorite currently. I'm not gonna lie. I like Getter too, but I like Gab. Gab is probably my favorite.
yeah, Gab doesn't work for me either. I don't know if it's because they don't focus on it because it's up here, when it's up here in Canada. But like when I try to use those on a browser, especially Gab, Parler I can't use on my phone, but I try to use Gab on my desktop or my laptop, and it just won't. Like I'll try to post something, it just won't post. I don't know. It's stupid. They tend to forget about it. It's like right now, Rebel News, you can't go to the website in a lot of times unless you type the www dot, which makes no sense. I mean, it's worked all the way up until like last week. And Bryson, before I forget, right when I was going to that music video of yours and my girlfriend saw it too, I paused it and because I was going to go to it, and then I refreshed it to skip the ad, and it just wouldn't load. It said this video has been made private. It did that 2 times. So they're just screwing with your video.
Is it still like that?
No, because I refreshed it a
Okay.
3rd time and it worked. But I'm just like, did he just private this video within like the 2 seconds of me last open it or trying to open it? And then it just did it another time, and I tried it a 3rd time and it worked. So like they're just like that. I've never seen that happen before. So
Yeah, I'm not surprised by anything that happens with any of my social media accounts, to be honest.
Dude, this is bizarre because I mean you've literally become the target of an entire establishment, like the entire corporate media organization for doing things that I'm obviously, again, I'm preaching to the choir here, but like these are not extreme views. These are not I always like to bring up Pooh Shiesty because I think he's just the worst of it, right? Like this man who got famous or rapping about armed robbery and then committed armed robbery and then went to jail, and they put this man on billboards in Times Square. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this, you got a talented young guy out here who's still I think also too is because the songs, they don't come off as like preachy, bro. So you ruffled some feathers, to say the least.
Yep, and that's how it works. Like even after the Travis Scott thing, even if you saw how a lot of the mainstream media was reporting on it, it was like trying to paint like Travis Scott and Kylie Jenner in a positive light. Like they're okay after what happened. Like I hope y'all know that they're okay. And then like a few of Travis Scott's songs shot to the top of the charts. It's very interesting. But if I say anything against the narrative or anything LGBT related or anything feminism related, I get banned like this. Like I'm so used to it now.
Something was gay.
Yeah, like, and then like, bro, I got banned on Twitter for literally just saying like, let Cal out, like free Cal, and that got me like suspended on Twitter for like 12 hours. I said, okay, bro.
It's really weird. Like it used to just be that like music that was kind of religious just wasn't good, so it was easy for people to ignore it. But now like it's just actively suppressing stuff that talks about the Bible. I mean, like one of your albums is you preaching about the Bible, like
literally directly from the Bible, bro.
It's like you don't have to agree with it, but on what basis are you banning this stuff? It's like doesn't swear. I remember the last time we had you on, and I said you curse, and then you're just like, I don't curse. I've been working on my Bryson impression. What do you mean, man? I don't curse. I want to get to this stupid Joe Rogan bit on Saturday Night Live from, I guess, last night. It's so cringy, and it's just like my question to everybody is
It's
to keep
terrible.
in mind: do they know they're being like propaganda, or is it just bad comedy? That's the question I want you to think about. It's always the dumb or evil question.
It is so cringy.
It looks like Voldemort, not really Joe Rogan.
I used to host Fear Factor, and now doctors fear me.
Can you help me, Joe?
Oh, sure thing, Big Bird. You see, I took Carlos Mencia down. I could take COVID.
Really reading the lines, too.
Here's some zinc, an ayahuasca, and some horse medicine.
Well, why would a bird take horse medicine?
I'm a human, and I took horse medicine. And I'm speaking of
Wow.
things that are horse-like. Today's two sponsors are the letters S and D, as in I can S my own D.
So even though they are supposed to be joking, the whole horse medicine thing, it's just like this. It's one thing if it's funny, but it wasn't. It's just sad and weird, and like you're trying to take down a comedian and then misrepresenting his argument. Who wants to go first? Rob, you go first on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just blatant that they're attacking just the drug itself because they want people to be like, this thing is the only answer. And anyone that questions that narrative, like Rogan did, they want to take them down. And people, and I follow SNL, like the page, just to like see how people think. And it seemed like people liked it. Like there were people that are like, haha, like it's hilarious, loved it. Like it's like, these people really are just like brainwashed. Like they think that I don't know. Like I think anything that's like not conservative, they attack it. Like because like we politicize this thing so much, but it's not about conservative. It's literally just like it's literally just that is a medicine, an alternative to this thing, and they don't want people to have it. So people got to wake up.
Bryson, what do you take from this? Do you think they're sitting there just being like, like somebody says, you guys gotta shit on this alternate to the vaccine, or they just actually think it's funny because they think Joe Rogan's so dumb that he's taking horse dewormer?
Bro, I don't know what that was. I'm gonna be honest. That was possibly the least funniest thing I've seen in a very long time. And it's like, if you genuinely think that's like, bro, that is worse than women comedy. Not to be sexist or anything. That was terrible, bro. Like that was terrible. Like I don't care what the misinformation was they spewed because it's obviously the horse stuff, whatever. But just from a comedy level, like, bro, what? Y'all put that out there? Like that is, come on, bro.
Eric, dumb or evil?
Well, it's evil. It's obviously evil. And because it was last week where they did a silly skit, or I say silly as if it's funny. It's not funny. A stupid skit, an evil skit, I guess, about abortion, right? Where they had the woman dressed up as a clown, and she was giving all these, vague like monologue about how basically abortion is a great thing. And so you fast forward 1 week and now they're back on this horse pace thing. So they pick somebody, I don't know. It used to be Lorne Michaels or whatever. I don't know who it is over there now, but whoever
Still
it is
him.
now. Okay. So they're, in my humble opinion, they are still picking something every week or picking a person or thing, whatever it is. They threw Ted Cruz in there, which was stupid. I mean, and they try to, they villainize it. And unfortunately right now they're still running on these fumes from like the early 90s or late 80s or whenever the last time the show was funny. And they're still rolling on that. So this might be something that, again, now I love my family, but this is like something that they might buy into because they took the mask off when Fauci said you could take it off and then put it right back on because they can't see through this stuff. And it's really sad that it's very similar in the way that we have these 80-year-old people calling the shots, running on fumes from when they had control of the narrative between 3 networks. And now everybody has the internet and they try to stop that. And everybody has YouTube and they try to stop that, and Twitter. They want to stop it all, but they're still just these are like the death throes of their and there's obviously guys like Bryson who are without even trying, basically, without the whole machine, without millions of dollars worth of funding. I don't know, maybe Bryson does have millions of dollars worth of funding, I don't know, but without the power
From Dan
of a machine,
Crenshaw.
with the one-eyed rhino, without the power of a machine, their power is dwindling, and this is what it looks like when they're trying to maintain it. And you see it obviously with who was it Colbert or whatever that did the whole, like, the literal song and dance with the women dressed up as syringes. And so, long story short, yes, this is not stupid, it is evil, and it is them trying to maintain what tiny little bit of influence that they still have.
What I think is that even if we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, which at this point they don't deserve, there's nothing edgy or risk-taking about this comedy. It's like going on stage just being like, black people and gays are oppressed, and then everybody applauds and adding like a terrible joke in there. But Pete Davidson, who's reading his whole lines the whole time because he probably doesn't do this stuff anymore. All he does is get pictures taken of him. And whoever's playing the bird there, I don't know, is that like Adrian Brody or something? But I have no idea. They're reading their lines the whole time, but it's like there's nothing risky about going on there and writing a joke about Joe Rogan taking horse dewormer and then like adding in he's giving you ayahuasca and drugs too, like this 2008 caricature of Joe Rogan where he's just like this guy who experiments with drugs, which of course he does to an extent, I'm sure still, but it's not really experimentation at this point. But they're just taking this character of Joe Rogan and then adding their like propaganda, because that's what it is when you're pushing talking points based on a political party and a vaccine company, a pharmaceutical company. That's literal propaganda, I'm sorry to tell you. So when you're doing this, there's no edginess. There's nobody sitting in the back saying, you know what, this is pretty edgy comedy. You sure you want to put this on? It's like, no, this is the right thing to do, you guys. We're saving lives by doing this. And it's pathetic. And I'm sure there's 300 people on YouTube who write better sketch comedy. Tim Dillon made fun of it. I'm sure Joe Rogan won't even address it because he doesn't want to give them attention. But I don't know why Joe Rogan, he could crush them. Like Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, he's out to crush Business Insider at this point because they're trying to smear him. Joe Rogan sat with Sanjay Gupta from CNN, said he's a great guy. Even when he came off, he said he was a great guy. And when he was on CNN, didn't support Joe at all, said he's a great guy. Now he's on Sesame Street pushing vaccination to children. And it's like, Joe, if you just had a little bit of energy to crush people in your heart, then maybe people would have to back off this stuff where they're just like, in this tiny little world, in this tiny little bubble, which is actually dozens of millions of people, but like the programming, it's so fixated and so tight. It's like the late night talk shows, the mainstream media and social media. But once you deviate from that from a little bit, they get so defensive and so worked up. They have to kick Bryson's song off of YouTube. They have to say, you know, Joe Rogan, horse dewormer, all this crap. It's like they're protecting the Matrix, essentially, which is what Mark Zuckerberg wants now, is everybody in the Matrix. And
I think to your point that you made earlier is that there's no jokes. There's only like clapping seal lines. They're not funny. It's not like, they're not trying to make you laugh. They're trying to be like, oh, you heard about this story, right? It's like Z level Seinfeld observations, like where it's an observation, but there's no punchline. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's just to get the people to clap like, oh, I heard about this story because I watched it on NBC earlier today between Pfizer commercials or whatever. So it's an absolute mess. And there was one other thing that I was going to mention, but I forgot.
It's like this person disagreed with the state. Let's make fun of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
I think it ruins art. I think it ruins art because, like, how can you be funny without offending people? I think that, like, the best, that's why, like, the people really watch Dave Chappelle stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, I do not think Dave Chappelle last stand-up was that funny. But it's better than everything else that's out because everybody's scared to say anything. So everybody is praising Dave Chappelle for, in my opinion, a mediocre stand-up because he said something that was actually a little edgy.
Yeah, I would agree. It wasn't even that funny.
It wasn't as good as the one before. I think his worst one was that one outside where he just talked about Candace Owens for an hour and just cried about George Floyd. Like, it was the same thing. That's what this reminds me of. It's just like, I'd have zero research done into this, but I'm so willing to condemn somebody who talks about it. Like, Pete Davidson doesn't know shit about medicine. I guarantee it. Doesn't know anything about what Joe Rogan actually did. Just like Dave Chappelle didn't know anything about the George Floyd case. Like, I'm sorry to say, Dave, but like, you missed a lot of the 99% of the information, including his criminal history. So there's that.
You know what we should do? We should get like, so obviously the establishment and like the people in charge, like they control like all of the mainstream media. They control Saturday Night Live. What if there was like a conservative or like conservative Saturday Night Live where we just bash like their propaganda? You know what I'm saying?
And it doesn't even have to be conservative. It just has to be common sense at this point. Because as soon as you step out, I mean, you got guys like Dave Chappelle, right? I mean, he's not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination, right? But he stepped out of line a tiny bit. Same with Kanye West. Kanye West is not a conservative. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if he says, I don't like abortion, then they sell him down the river.
At the end of the special, Chappelle still sort of was like, oh, I love transgenders and all stuff. So he did that in the follow-up stuff too. He's still like, that's the sad thing. At the end, he can't just be like, F you, like, too bad. He still is just like, this is actually about white people. This is what the whole set was actually about. It was about white people. And, I loved my tranny friends. Like, first of all, who are these people that you hang out with in like your farm in Ohio or wherever he lives now? Probably doesn't exist. But still, like, you go 90% and then you bail the last second. It's pretty weak, I think.
I'm gonna keep it a ban. This is my issue with conservatives, period. I think conservatives like hyping people up. That's against our best interest. Like, Dave Chappelle doesn't really like us. Like, he's just saying something edgy. And partially, I think he knows he'll get a little conservative base to watch. So that's why he does it. Same thing with a lot of these people. Like, people were praising Rihanna because she wore a shirt that said something about be a free thinker or something. And conservatives was like, oh yeah, let's hype up Rihanna. Rihanna literally called Trump supporters like evil people. Like it's like I think we just have to stop this. Like, stop praising people because they do one thing that's against the narrative.
Oh yeah, on the during the Rittenhouse trial on the Rebel live stream I was on the other day, somebody super chats. Maybe that Ross, what's his name, Ross Grosskreutz. Maybe he just had a change of heart and now he's decided to do the right thing. And I'm just like, turn off the camera and he's going to say that Rittenhouse should be dead. And 99% of the time he's going to say that. Like, you have to stop giving in to these people who don't like you. Like, it's the same thing with conservative leadership in Canada, the US, name your country, but they all think that like 2 months to go before the election, if we just reach out to the liberal voters and let them know we're here for them, they're going to change their mind and stop thinking we're white supremacists and fascists, and they'll just vote for us.
They're never going to like you.
They want you in jail. When it comes down to it, the goal here is to change it into a socialist society where these ideas are so banished that a person could be arrested for saying something. They want you to leave the country or be in jail or be shunned from society forever. That's what they're doing now, is the shunned from society portion. Even though they don't believe in jail, they want to put you in jail for speaking a certain way. They don't like you. They're never going to like you. And trying to appeal to these people who have shown time and time again to not like you isn't going to work. Now, it's one thing if you're like a stranger, you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, or a person who you think is a good person, and then maybe they're just confused. But somebody who tried to kill a kid for being there is an Antifa guy, and then he goes on TV and they call him the lone survivor. He's not changing his mind overnight. He's crumbling because the cameras and the lights and the lawyers are on him. It's not a change of heart. I don't know about you guys, but Bryson basically just took the words out of my mouth. And this is what I've been talking about lately, is like, give up this right-wing utopia idea where everybody just like finally gets it. We're 5 years since Trump came into office. They didn't get it by the time like the second debate with Hillary Clinton happened, or maybe then the lockdowns or COVID or anything. I don't know what's going to happen for them to get it. Everybody's saying like the climate change lockdowns, people will get it, but I don't have hope for that
and
either.
That's kind of like what I say every week, right? Like when something happens, I'm like, maybe this will wake people up. Every single week, like something happens, I'm like, I don't know if it will. And this is a kind of reminds me of what we saw last week when I'm watching my Instagram stories and everybody's at Mar-a-Lago, having a great time. And I didn't even know what the event was until like a day later. It's like Log Cabin LGBTQ Republican Gala or whatever. And I'm like, wait, so you guys gathered at Mar-a-Lago to try to entice a bunch of people who aren't going to like you anyways because you think
That's
it's going to
right.
help you in the 2022 midterms. And I don't know, like, and not to, I don't know what will or won't get us kicked off, but like, it's one thing if you want to be gay and a Republican, fine, go for it. But when you start talking about LGBTQ, like, you got to stop with that. Like, you're going to tell me that holding an event at Mar-a-Lago with the T's and
Go
the
for that
B's, like,
0.1% voter.
it's not
you
gonna
know?
work. It's not gonna work. And we saw a similar thing with Aaron Rodgers, how he's sitting back like, I don't care. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. Politics is fake. And I guess that's the cool thing. I get it, right? Like, everybody's coming after you. But for us to sit here and pretend, this is probably unpopular, but if we're gonna pretend that these two sides of these two wings are the same, I think you're actually mistaken, because if the left had it their way, Aaron Rodgers would be in jail because he quote unquote lied about getting vaccinated. And it's the right wing who's like, bro, let these people live. So I understand how there's corruption on both sides and we don't need to idolize politicians, but I think anybody who's going to tell me that both of these parties are exactly the same is mistaken, in my opinion. So we got to stop pretending that they are.
Let me ask you, Bryson, first. How much of the window do you think people are going to allow to be shifted? Because, like Eric said, like, when you're talking about LGBT XYZ, it was only less than 2 years ago, probably, where the stand was no mental illness. We're not just going to accept this as a thing. Even what's her face, that Blair White guy. Sorry, Twitter. Went on some show like Vice show or something and had to sit there and be like, just because you think, like, to a guy in a wig, just because you think you're a woman doesn't mean you're a woman. Like, you're not trans when you haven't done the surgery. I've done the surgery. Like, those are facts. You've actually had the surgery to become physically what you think is a man, but it's not even that far anymore. It's like, we have to accept this delusion now. And it's like, let's still get him under the tent anyways. This is the big tent anyways. Bryson, how far do you think the window will shift? Because I'm at the point where it's like, no, I'm not willing to back off of that.
I'm going to be the band with you. And people are going to see. And I'm going to be honest with you. I do think the 2020 election was taken, but let's not confuse it. When you look at the exit poll numbers, the same numbers that Trump touted himself afterwards, he touted himself, so nobody can say I can't bring him up. He gained in every single voter block except white people. Mm-hmm. Now, let's look at numbers. The only group that overwhelmingly votes Republican is 80% of white Christians vote Republican. That is the only group that overwhelmingly does it. Half of Catholics vote for liberals. The majority of Jews vote for liberals. The majority of Muslims vote for liberals. The majority of women, all of this stuff. If you look at the numbers, the only group he lost in was them white people, which you can assume, Bert, per the numbers, that are mostly Christians. This big tent theory is mathematically moronic. 15% of registered LGBT voters in the United States vote for the Republican Party. You do the math, that's around 1.2 million people. Are you willing to lose 3% of the 80% that are white Christians to gain at a maximum 1.2 million voters? Because I'm not going to stand for it. I know hundreds and thousands of people that said they're not going to support the GOP either because of this one thing. I've already changed my thing to independent.
Rob and Vince Dow, I don't know if you guys know that young guy, Asian kid from California. Even he says, and you can't call him racist because he's Asian, right? So even he says, what's the point of going after this tiny percentage of the population, that being even gay, which is probably, I don't know, upwards of 3% at this point, gay and trans? Why even go after this section of the population?
Trans is not real.
When there's so many Latino voters who are obviously very Christian, usually Catholic, Central and South America, they don't want that either. They're not gonna. That's not gonna appeal to them either, and they're a huge voting bloc. So now you're giving up this gigantic voting block of possibly 22 million illegal immigrants that could possibly vote to gain the 1 million transgender votes and the sympathizers to that. What's the word I'm looking for? That movement. It doesn't make mathematically any sense. Again, it's the same thing that the political parties do, and it makes you wonder if they're doing it on purpose. It's like you're appealing to 2 million people plus Twitter so that people don't make fun of you on Twitter. And that's the worst thing when I see my local government, provincial, which is state for you guys, pandering to like this guy came up in the last 3 months, our premier, our governor, Doug Ford. Today's orange shirt for Indigenous Day. Today's black shirt for this day. Like, not only is he doing the laziest pandering of just choosing a color and saying it represents something, he's just going after like a Twitterverse audience. Like, nobody else cares about this except for the 10 people who hate you on Twitter. And this is what you're going after. Rob, my question to you was supposed to be something along the lines of like, where's the logic in this? Why, what's the desperation to reach out to this small demographic?
It's just like virtue signaling. I mean, any possible way that they have to virtue signal, they're going to do it. And just me personally, like my stance on the whole thing is like, personally, I think it's a little weird, and I'll never view someone that just goes through an operation or just because one day they feel like the opposite sex. In my eyes, you are what you're born with, but I'm still going to respect somebody. Like if they're a good person, which there's a lot of good people that do it. I think it's just this is my personal belief is I just think it's a mental issue.
Well, the statistics back that up as well. Let's not forget that this isn't just your opinion. And I know you're trying to be a nice guy, but like when you, and I'll take you off the screen, so I'm not putting words in your mouth, but like the statistics are you jump to like 40% suicide rates post operation. And like the statistics are average. It's like COVID. You got 4 comorbidities, but with transgenderism, you have 3 other mental illnesses. You get schizophrenia. You've got things like selective mutism, which is something Greta has actually. But you've got all these other things, bipolarism. You've got all these other things that contribute to this. So it's not like this is just, you know what, I am a man, I am a woman, I believe that wholeheartedly. There's all these other things that go on, and the surgery, I think at least around 40% and higher. I'm not up to date as far as the last couple of years, but before that, all the studies said around 40% suicide rate. Regret goes way through the roof of wanting to go back. So continue, Rob. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that you don't feel bad about saying this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I basically just believe that it's a mental issue, but I just look at it as someone that like has mental issues, but you could still be a good person and you could still financially and like just financially be conservative, like in terms of
course
spending, in terms of just like focusing on our own country first. So you can be trans and still have those values, but just when it comes to the gender stuff, I mean, yeah, I kind of just stay out of it. Like, if you're nice to me, I'm going to be nice to you.
I'm going to be honest. I do not think you can be a transformer and pit the country first, because I don't think you have the capacity mentally to even understand what that means. Never mind. I'm going to get y'all banned.
Wait, okay.
No, I don't think that gets us banned. The thing about the transgender ban in the military was another thing. I was in the military. If you've got somebody who needs therapy every week, is on hormones that who knows, I don't know for a fact how hormones make you react when you're taking testosterone, or in a different case, I guess, estrogen. I'd imagine it throws you off a little bit, but they don't want you smoking weed or drinking in the military, because if you're sitting next to somebody in a firefight, who knows what you're going to do. If a person needs surgery, evaluations, mental help every couple of weeks, let's say best case scenario once a month, that person's not going to be hyper focused on what their job is. So to say that like somebody who's wrapped up in this, and if the Republicans are going to come out there and be like, we need to pay close attention to this and get this vote, then I sort of agree with you, Bryson. The fact like this isn't going to be like, if your life is so confusing and troubling that you're just like, you know what, I need to go to a doctor, I need to see what my options are about changing my gender, like what's any education secretary?
Any doctor who even, bro, we're playing with funny money, right? It's look, there's no way. even when I was in college, I'm not that old, but even when I was in college in San Francisco, we didn't have this. This is come at whirlwind speeds, and there's an actual term for it, rapid onset, whatever, ROTD or something, where this is a product of the political landscape and these extremists trying to, to put it nicely, indoctrinate children. And just anecdotally, I want to say, when I first moved to Brooklyn, I worked at a restaurant, a staff of about 30 people, about 30 to 35 people, with 10 transgenders on the staff, bro. And again, to put it nicely, these people were having discussions about things that would not be okay if I just showed up to work and started talking about how my crazy, sexual weekend was, and my hormone regimen and the medication that I was taking. So in that weird microcosm, that group of 10 people on a staff of 30 is definitely, and this doesn't prove on a larger scale, I'm just saying anecdotally, those people were so like self-centered and letting you know every single thing about their weird lives that they were not putting the job first. And I went to lunch one day and never went back, but it was a crazy situation. And I think that is going to, that will eventually spread to the point where the only thing that matters is their happiness and you capitulating to their needs. And I get it, like everybody can have, you could have a conservative like Blair White type or whatever, but in the long run, it is not gonna benefit, bro. It's not gonna work.
Blair White is not a conservative. That grown man is a liberal grifter. I'm sorry. I've met a lot of these people in real life. Let me tell y'all something. You know what I can't stand when conservatives be like, well, Blair White claims he's against the LGBT community. How can he even say that? He is dressed like a woman. Not only is he not against it, he is the thing he claimed that he was against. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. You can't change reality. But what they do is they get them conservative bucks, them dollars they like. Bro, Lady MAGA told me in real life he doesn't even like wearing the dresses and stuff. These people, first off, I'm not surprised they need help, okay? They need help. But people say they're conservative. No, they are not. Conservative means to advocate for traditional values. A grown
so maybe
man,
they can vote Republican, but that does not make you a true conservative. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And just, I know I've mentioned this before, but I have to, and
Eric, look at the camera.
Okay.
Look into our souls. Get off your glasses too.
No.
Reflecting. Get off your shirt too.
Jesus Christ, Andrew. Is that if we had not adopted this transgender culture where people are willing to believe that a man could be a woman just because he thinks it, we wouldn't be in this virus mess. Because as soon as you can convince an entire population of people that a man can be, why can't I can't identify as Steph Curry and go to the Golden State Warriors tomorrow. So if you can convince somebody that you can be a man can turn into a woman because they think it. Those very same people are sure to believe that the air outside their front door is deadly. And you've completely manipulated reality. And I know that it seems like it might be a stretch, but when you have control of somebody's thoughts, then you can tell them, oh, wear the mask, don't wear the mask, wear 2 masks, get the shot. The shot's perfect. Oh, the shot's not perfect. You got to get a second shot. You got to get a third shot. They'll believe anything now because they have been convinced that there is no reality.
It's a weak-minded person is what it comes down to, in my opinion, with a lot of this stuff. But
2015 Steph Curry, I'd imagine, Eric. Let's quickly jump in, and then we'll go to you first, Rob, because I know you love Joe Biden. Joe Biden smelling people again. I don't know how old this is. Ezra Levant just tweeted it, I think, today. But more smelling and caressing of young boys.
What?
All right, Rob. I don't know if that's new or not, but it's funny. I mean, do you know what happened with this Project Veritas stealing the stuff about Hunter Biden? What's alleged in that?
So
wait, are we talking about Biden or are we talking about Joe or Project Veritas?
Same thing. The Bidens, they stole something from them, right?
So what they took was I believe it was a diary entry from
Right.
daughter that passed away, saying that Joe Biden used to like molest her or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it was something along those terms. And if that is indeed the diary entry, which that's what they say, yeah, I mean, he should be investigated. The dude, I mean, all you have to do is that video that you just pulled up before. There's so many videos like that. I don't know how many times people need to see that. But the thing is, the media got people to hate the alternative, which was Trump, so much that they don't care what this guy does as long as it's not Trump. And it's just, in my opinion, society has gotten just insane. Like you could just, as long as it's not Trump, you could do anything. And there's no repercussions for these people that are just sick people. And I've literally seen so many videos like that of Biden sniffing somebody, the whole thing of his hair on his legs, like that thing in the pool. Like how could you watch that and vote for that guy? Like I don't know, man. I'm baffled by this every day that I see that guy as our president. Like that's truly baffling to me. That
well, who do you
president right now?
Well, who do you guys think was the best player in the Negro Leagues? You ask. You tell me. Who was the best 1930s baseball player that you guys can recall? It's like the Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns is choosing the baseball team and they're all dead. He's like, your left fielder has been dead for 130 years, Mr. Burns. Bryson, let's go. Quick. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just really quick. Obviously, Joe Biden is absolutely disgusting, and and all that personal stuff is terrifying. But let's not forget how actually corrupt he is as well. Like that kind of we get caught up in the nasty videos and the sniffing and the coughing in his hand and shaking people. That's all disgusting. But this man has been corrupt since at least the 80s. So that's awful as well. This is a mess.
Been racist since the 60s. So he's got a lot of competing things. Now, you could give him the benefit of the doubt and say he doesn't realize that what he's saying sounds racist, but I think after like 60 years of being friends with like segregationists and Dixiecrats, and then the you ain't black stuff, and they're just as smart as white kids, all that stuff, I tend to lose sympathy for him, even if he is losing his mind. Bryson, I wanted to go deep into the vortex with you. Who's telling them what to do? Who's telling them to do Build Back Better, other than, the International Monetary Fund and these people and Klaus Schwab? Who's ruling the world?
I don't know, but it isn't Biden. Come on, that man is senile, obviously. Let's just be honest. He's senile. Something's obviously not right. He has handlers. That's what it is. But the one thing I will let him slide on is the Negro thing, because I don't think that term is racist. I don't care about that term at all. I do think Biden has said racist things, but honestly, Negro is less offensive in my opinion than African American is. But that's my opinion. But outside of that, I don't know who's running this country. It's the donors, bro. It's the people. And by the way, this is a thing a lot of people have to realize. It may be different people, but the same way the Democrats have these large donors that own everything, Republicans have the same thing on the other side. It's just somebody else doing the funding. So who's running Biden right now? Name them. Name George Soros. You just name how many other people that's behind them in the dark spaces in the background. But we know it ain't Biden because that's an old crazy man.
Why don't you like African American?
I've never been to Africa in my life. That term wasn't even coined or made famous until Jesse Jackson. Everybody's used the term Negro or black because because Negro is just means black. African American is like you're trying to place me in something I don't have. Elon Musk is an African American.
It's true.
But Bryson Gray, I don't know nobody out there, cuz you feel me? I ain't never been out there. I don't know. I ain't got no homies from out there. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, if you know anything about American culture, a lot of Africans, the culture, a lot of them don't even like black people.
That's true.
They don't even like American black people. They view us in a certain light. So I don't like they the ones that traded us into slavery, my ancestors into slavery anyway. So
Butler and Gray sounds British to me, though, your last name. So I don't know your ancestry.ca, but these two African guys I knew in the military, one was Eritrean, the other one was Ethiopian. And you're right, they're not fond of black guys from around here.
Nope. Nope.
But then again, they're like the one guy who's from no, sorry, he was Somali, but his family was rich. Like they sent him to university here, because they're whatever. I don't know Somalia's government. They don't really have one, but still, he was rich, and they sent him here. He'd always say, "Chapados, you look like a Jew," but but I'm not. So I shouldn't say what we used to say to each other anymore. Stupid story out of what is this? Black Panther 2. I guess one of the stars, Letitia Wright, they're saying, what the hell just happened here?
Oh,
They're saying she's anti-vax. It's an insult to Chadwick Boseman somehow. He's the actor that died. Written by Tirhaka Love, so maybe I don't know how to feel about that name. I find it hard to believe that's the real last name. An injury to Letitia Wright was just tossed a vibranium-plated wrench, is that a reference to the movie, I guess, into Disney's Return to Wakanda. Announced it's shutting down production on Black Panther Wakanda Forever because of an undisclosed injury from September. Well, where's the vaccine stuff in here?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. This article is so rambling. They just go on and on and on.
Not only does the new rule write immigration and vaccination statuses and injury all congealed into a messy sludge for Disney in terms of scheduling, but it also presents a host of much more meta issues. So basically, they think she's been saying anti-vax things on set. Her very public questioning of the vaccine's efficacy also casts a contradictory cloud over one of the film's most important endeavors, honoring the life of its previous king. Yeah, so this is where it gets really stupid. So, Eric, you were saying that the reason that this is supposedly not honoring Chadwick Boseman is that if he was around and he's got a poor immune system due to being in cancer treatment, she should be vaccinated. Is that what it is, basically?
Yep.
So they're basically saying to honor the guy who died from cancer, nothing against him, she should be vaccinated because if he was alive, she would need to be vaccinated to protect his poor immune system from cancer treatment. Don't ask any questions about why he'd be on set if he had cancer treatment. Am I getting that right?
Yes, and it is beyond parody. It is beyond parody. So they're raking her over the coals. Like I said, I'm looking at the article right now, but it's 2,000 words of just garbage of basically pharmaceutical propaganda. Of course, they're able to fit the part in here about this is just proof that getting the shot is not about you. It's about protecting other people. And let's not forget that she is a Black woman. So
Unbelievable.
They're so ready to sell this woman down the river because she again has a little bit of a difference of opinion on this. And now me personally, I know a lot of people liked Black Panther. I'm gonna go ahead and say I didn't, so I'll leave it at that. But they're trying to convince. This is the Daily Beast too, because I got a real bone to pick with them because they've been jumping out the window left and right for at least a decade now. They are trying to convince people that this woman should do what Hollywood says because a guy who's already died could be affected by her choice not to get the shot. That's where we've come. All right. So, and Aaron Rodgers, by the way, like this guy, he kind of weasels out and tries to pretend like he's going to play both sides, even though the left is already sold. They already sold him down the river. Now they're obviously treating her with a little bit lighter kid gloves. They're not calling her a racist or anything. But this is what they do. Is like when Kanye's mom died, and Don Lemon hops out the window and says, Donda West would not have been proud of Kanye for going to the White House. And it's like, why are you guys are so desperate to fit your narrative into anything that you invoke dead people because it can't
Sickening.
it can't be combated, right? Like as soon as you talk about somebody who's dead, then you just have to. Now, of course, I don't know anything about Chadwick Boseman. I full disclosure, I actually walked out of the theater when I saw Black Panther. Like it just didn't do it for me. And I got a phone call. I was like, yeah, let's link up. I'm done with this. But the desperation that they are trying to, think of what does Chadwick Boseman's family think about that? Like this, I'm sorry, I'm speechless. I just can't understand how the Daily Beast can, well, of course they can sleep with themselves. They don't care about any of that stuff. But it's like you are invoking the memory of a dead person to get your vaccine propaganda across, and it's just beyond me, bro. It's beyond me. Worse than SNL easily.
Let's go to LAPD says teens motivated by racism were behind swattings of BLM leader. So the LAPD said Friday that a group of teenagers motivated by racial hatred and responsible. Group of teenagers are responsible for two separate swatting incidents. The home of BLM LA leader Melina Abdullah. Do we know? I've never heard of her. Do we know who that is? Melina Abdullah.
That is no.
Teens ages 13 to 16 were connected via online chat Discord, are also suspected in 30 other false emergency threats across the country. So how is that? How are they motivated by racism if they're doing it 30 other times?
Well, this is the LA Times, so.
But also Yahoo News has stolen them. This is what I wanted to ask a second ago to both you guys. It seems like it's gone to the point where before it used to be, you must do these things because you're black. You can't vote for Trump. You're black. You don't like that. You can't do this. You can't support that because you're black. Now it's like you're black, so you shouldn't be doing these things. It's like they've gone from being like, they've gone from being like, this will make you non-black, but now they've accepted the other side of the story, and they're like, if you keep doing this, you won't be black. It's so confusing to me that like everything has gone from like being racist, and now they can't say that because nobody agrees with it anymore. And it's like, well, you may not be racist, but now you're just anti-vax, or now you're just anti that. It's just like, it's so confusing. It's hard to keep up with what like the mainstream narrative is supposed to be. And I see somebody on my a black guy on my Instagram the other day. He used to do videos with me, and he's doing this Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. It's like, oh, he's fake crying. Oh, this can't wait to see this kid behind bars. And it's just like, so he used to post like BLM stuff, and that's why. But now it's like the narrative has gone away from like the race stuff hasn't worked, but you just have to do these things now in order to be a good person. You have to hate this person. You have to hate that person. You have to agree with this trial. And it's so hard to know where this stuff is coming from. And I can only imagine being a kid just opening my phone and being like, oh, this is what you're supposed to believe. And you go to school on Monday, and if you don't believe that Kyle Rittenhouse is trash, then what? You're going to get bullied for that? It's so weird. Like, is it okay to bully people now? Or if they believe certain things, or are we still not bullying? Like, is it okay to be racist to black people and Latino people vote for Trump still? Or is it just anyone who disagrees with us we hate? Does that any of that make sense to anybody?
Yes.
You got it?
No, go ahead, bro.
All right, so yeah, basically it's elevate black voices. They'll say elevate black voices, but then when that black voice speaks and it doesn't fall in line with the narrative, then it's, oh, you're an idiot, like put this person down. They never cared about black people. It's just they use their propaganda to get black votes. They care about black votes. They don't care about black people. They're the most racist, evil people I met are some of the biggest virtue signaling. Just they're sick. That's what it is. At the end of the day, they're the sickos, and they project their racism and their evil on to people that believe in freedom. And most people, like most conservatives, they don't care what you are, where you came from, as long as you're a person that has values that exemplify like freedom and just limited government. You're on our team. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, you name it. But the liberals, it's basically they use that shit, just elevate black voices, and then if you're black and you speak out against their thing, then it's, oh, shut them up, they don't know any better. So liberals suck. That's my message.
Bryson, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say it's all a ploy to tag along people's emotions, especially with black people. Think about how emotional a group of people have to be for 90% of them to vote one way. That should be impossible. And it's only black people in America. It usually doesn't work like that in other parts of the world. But 90% of one group of people vote one way. That is insane. But how they do it is they focus on the emotional aspect of it. The same way they do with women, and they always attempt to make an emotional argument out of things because people are emotional. Now, that is because in the black vote, the women have a higher turnout rate than men. So if the women have a higher turnout rate than men, and based on biology, women are more emotional, then it's easier to tag on them emotional strings than it already is to begin with. And now they just spread it out to everybody, even conservatives. They're so scared to be called racist. They're so scared to be called homophobic. They're so scared to be called this. So they're pretty much bullying you emotionally and mentally, so you will be scared to speak out.
Eric, final word to you, and then we'll go to paying some bills, and then we'll wrap up.
Well,
I mean, we'll be on for 3 more hours, everybody. Don't you know?
well, yeah, I mean, of course, it's okay to bully somebody who doesn't agree with you. And I saw this, like, it obviously it has nothing to do with skin color. This is totally an emotional ploy. And just really quick, when I was in New York, I went down to meet up with the George Floyd protesters and see what they were talking about. And you should have seen how these people, they treated me like a king. They offered me snacks, riot kits, a paint can. They were like, yeah, come hang out with us. And I was taking photos, I was taking videos. They had no problem. And then 15 minutes later, I walk across the street and talk to a guy in a red hat, and they surround us and threaten violence. And it's like, dude, I'm the same person that I was 15 minutes ago when you didn't know who I was. But now, just because I'm standing next to somebody in a red hat, the tides have turned. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It's never been about race. I think we know that, but there's still, sadly, and this is, not to drag it along too far, but this is why they want to lower the voting age. Because yeah, you can get an emotional bunch of women to vote because there's a picture of a little girl crying, at the border. But you can also get a 16-year-old to say, well, yeah, like, orange man bad, racism this, racism that, because they haven't developed. I mean, I was guilty of it too. Like back in 2008, I was like, yeah, man, black guy sounds cool. And then you realize that he's a scam artist at his very best. But I digress, and these people are complete snakes.
All right, before we go, my show with Sunny Joy Nelson on rebelnews.com/Andrew_says, you can see in the show tab, she is the media director of media affairs for getter.com. Also from North Carolina, Bryson, so she knew who, she was very on the Let's Go Brandon train. If you haven't spoken to her before, you should. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. We talked about Sesame Street and all that weird stuff. Apparently, Elmo's father pushed the vaccine as well. As a Southern person, Elmo's father is like, let's see if I can show you guys quickly if I skim through it here. Let's see.
I didn't even know Elmo had.
There's Elmo's dad. They made him sound like a Southern guy, and he's like, I think we should all get the vaccine. I've heard all parents are getting the vaccine. So super creepy stuff. And then we talked about Getter here towards at the end. She wouldn't tell me what they said to Trump to try to get him on board, though. Unbelievable. So that's on rebelnewsplus.com. Bryson Gray's new song is quite good. I messaged him to tell him so after I watched it the other day at work. Thanks, YouTube. It's really good. Just keeps getting better, Bryson. So go to his YouTube channel here, Bryson Gray. Of course, Eric is on Tatum Report. Latest article I could find. Miami mayor says the city will soon give residents Bitcoin wallets. That's good. That's interesting, frankly, but who's going to pay for that? Eric Butler? I don't know. You'll have to read it to find out. TatumReport.com. Just search Eric Butler, and there's his little face there. New York City 2020 Gotham Unglued is still available on Amazon or Kindle if you don't want the hardcover. Always play the game. Corpse, Set of Tires, or I don't know. What's the third thing I always say? Body.
Just garbage. Corpse.
Garbage,
tires,
right.
Garbage, yeah.
Corpse tires or garbage, the favorite thing. Hewey Media is shadow banned, so make sure you go follow him on Instagram and Twitter, also at Hewey Media. When you type him in, it tends to just come up with his backup, as you can see there. And a model or something. I don't know. So go follow him there because he might get banned. Shadow banning is the first step to actual banning, I think. So before we get going here, what I wanted to ask you guys is, where do you think everything's going where you guys live in terms of lockdowns, vaccinations, that sort of stuff? Start with Rob, and we'll go clockwise there.
Yeah, so I'm in Philly, and it's a pretty liberal city, so pretty brainwashed place. I actually went out. It was probably like a few months ago. I went out. I made like a poster, and it was like that thing. Like, it's just 2 weeks. It's just a mask. It's just this thing, and then yeah. So I went out and like I was just like talking to people in Philly, and I think I had 2 conversations maybe, and the rest of the people just cursed me off or whatever. Yeah, this place like is insane. And like if you go on like Tinder or whatever, every single profile, it's just virtue signalers saying that they got the jab, and basically just it's crazy here. Like it's just I need to go somewhere that's a normal place that isn't about this BS. But
Have they gone full New York? Are they making you prove to get into a restaurant yet? Nothing like that.
Yeah, I've been rejected numerous times at bars. It's just
Wow.
I couldn't go in. Some places I couldn't eat at, and soon that's going to change to not just 2 of them. You're going to need to be fully juiced. And what is fully juiced? That's going to be soon. Who knows? Probably 3, then 4, then they're just going to keep going. And then hopefully, like, I think Vegas should set an over under on how many juices people are going to have to take until they wake up and realize this isn't going to stop. Like, this is a pharmaceutical company's dream to just like, and the government is covering for them. Big tech is covering for them. It's just like, I'm not a rocket scientist, but it's so easy to see through this. Like, you don't have to be smart. Just don't be a complete idiot. And you can see that this just, people got to wake up. People have to wake up, but they're not. It's screwed up, man. It really is screwed up.
Bryson, is it true that you drove to Arizona from North Carolina twice in 1 week? Did I read that correctly?
Well, it's from Tennessee. It was 24-hour drives there, 24-hour drive back. I did that twice in the last like month. I drove to Nebraska.
What's
Florida.
wrong with you? Why? Tell people why you did that. I know why, but tell people why.
I mean, just to go into what you said, is it going to get better or worse? It's going to get worse until people say no. And people call me crazy, blah, blah, blah. And Bryson, that costs too much money. Yeah, but see, to actually make a change requires sacrifice. I told you I'm not wearing no mask. So if I put on a mask to go perform and make a couple bucks, then that means I'm not a man of my word. That's called lack of integrity. So I don't wear a mask, period, point blank, and I'm definitely not getting no vaccine. I had to turn down a Fox News interview in station because I'm not going to New York because of what they have going on. So people call it crazy, but until more people start being just as crazy as me, then this is gonna get worse.
I respect that, man. That's awesome.
Every time I tell my girlfriend stuff about what you're doing, she's like, "Oh, he's so cool."
I usually get called crazy.
She wears your pro-choice with the guns on it sweater to like the grocery store, and she says people are always staring at her because we're in Canada. Like, I've never seen anybody wear like something like that in Canada, so I'm sure that's why. But yeah, every time she's a big Bryson Gray fan.
Love it.
How's Canada? Is
Canada is stuck in limbo. The vaccinated cases are the same as unvaccinated hospitalizations. That's all the same. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about any of the stuff. We're just in this. We're just stuck in this matrix limbo where it's like we still have masks indoors. There's no capacity limits for vaccinated places. But if you're unvaccinated, you can't eat inside. You can't go to the gym. You can't go to the movies. You can't do any. You can't be part of society. But like, it's not really talked about at all. I mean, now if I wear my mask around my chin, which is what I tend to do in like the grocery store stuff, nobody says anything. People are always sending me stuff like, "Oh, I've been yelled at," and stuff like. I don't get it. I don't know why nobody yells at me. Maybe it's the look on my face, but like, it's just always around my chin. Nobody says anything. But it's weird. I can't go to like a sports game. I want to go to Boston Pizza or something. I can't watch anything with my friends. And people say, I know people who have fake vaccine passports, allegedly. And And I'm not going to do that again because I don't want to play into their system. Like, I don't want to pretend to be one of the cool kids. I'm not going to do that. I'm unvaccinated. I try not to talk about that because, like, I don't think people should need to know what's going on. I 95% of the time won't wear the mask unless it's literally like I wore it at like some person's store that I know. That's it, just so that they don't get in trouble. I feel ashamed just saying it, but like,
You should.
I feel like I'm gonna come out of this the other side having done none of the precautions and none of the stuff the government wanted me to, and I'm gonna laugh at the people who just said, "Just do it, man. Just do it. You should have," because they said 60 to 70% vaccination rates are all we need in order to open everything back up. We're well above, I think, 85% in my province now. They're saying that they're going to take off the vaccine passport in January and masks in March. I don't believe them. They're already prepping to put restrictions back. So when this is all said and done, if it's said and done, then I'm going to be very vocal about calling out all the people who said, just do this stuff. The anti-lockdown groups who didn't get anything done, but, bolster their profile. They went out there. They didn't ask for any legislation to be made. They didn't make any demands out of the government. I'm going to start, figuratively chopping heads off when that stuff happens, because I'm going to be like, look, if you were just a man about it, if you were just enough of a man as my girlfriend is, who refuses to do everything, if you're just enough of a man as my roommate is to refuse to do these things, or Bryson Gray, plot twist, if you're just enough of that person to stand up for yourself, then maybe you would have got what you wanted. Whereas I didn't have to do these things and everything worked out okay. I'm hoping that's what happened, but Canada's still stupid. You can't travel on a plane. All these stuff, people are saying, come down to Texas and do videos here. I'm going to have to drive across the border if I want to do that. Will they even let me cross the border? I told Bryson, it's not as long of a drive to Canada. I don't know if to let him in. So that's the situation here. It's it continues to be stupid. If it doesn't change, I will have to consider even more strongly than I am right now moving to Texas, Arizona, or Florida. Florida's very humid, and there's a lot of old people in Florida. I don't think I'm ready for the Florida Flies. I don't like their sports teams too much.
Come to Arizona, bro. I'm telling you. Wait, so just
I'm
so
gonna
we're
watch
clear,
a Phoenix Coyotes hockey game, Eric. I need a better hockey team than that.
I don't know about hockey, but we got the Suns and they're pretty good. So you can test positive as long as you got the shot and you good. But if you don't have the
you don't
shot,
need a test to go anywhere.
Okay,
You just need your papers.
None of this makes any sense. I'm completely over it. Good thing though is here in Arizona, I think it's actually more. It's closer to being free than even Florida was, in my opinion. So far so good. Oh, shout out to Elad too. New York.
No shout outs to Elad. I know it's on screen, but come on my show, Elad.
Sorry.
I think you're too good for my
I
show.
Think, is he from
What you
Queens?
think?
I don't know. I was gonna say shout out Brooklyn, but I don't know if he's from Brooklyn. He might be from Queens or something. But
one of the 5 boroughs. The stupid thing is Canada also uses the worst tests too, the PCR tests that take like 2 days to come back. So if you come to the Canadian border or the airport with a better test, a more accurate test, they're just like, no, turn back. You got to go spend more money on a different test. Yeah, that's how it is.
It's all a scam.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Our numbers keep going up each week. Last week it was like 4,000. So I'm thinking we're going to beat that this week probably. Thanks to everybody for watching. YouTube, go subscribe to Unauthorized Opinion on YouTube. Hewey Media on Instagram. Shadow Band, follow him. Bryson Creates 2 and 3 on Instagram. Bryson Creates 2 Shadow Band, by the way, I checked today. Follow him. Bryson Gray on YouTube. Twitter, Hewey Media on Twitter. Eric Butler on Getter. Report and Opine on Instagram. Tatum Report. Did I forget anybody? That's too bad. Eric's book, we'll give him full screen before we go because we want to sell that book. Sell the book, Eric. Get on the street corner and sell that book and body.